Hey, so in today's video we're going to be doing a little bit of a chit chat about this interesting Philips dual screen gaming system. At thrift shops or flea markets I see all kinds of wicked stuff. But this one really piqued my interest because of the Tetris on the displays. Two sets of controllers and having a lot of cool features built in. Double the 7-inch displays, and yeah, we have this very interesting configuration, but what makes me really intrigued with this is that this thing comes with game controllers and a CD. So what is this actually, this Philips dual screen device, and how is the configuration? I was really, let's say, intrigued when noticing this, particularly when it said like the screen showcases a Tetris game. So in here we're finding, oh man, this is really filthy. So yeah, this is actually how they sold it. I did pay around like $25 for it. This is the main screen, and man, this is really filthy again. So I'm going to be cleaning this up later on. So the configuration is interesting because we do have two controllers, and both will have like a mini USB, if I say it correctly, or is micro. Now it's like a mini USB, so this is really old school stuff. Floating D-pad configuration, back button and 4 buttons, no shoulder whatsoever. So you're just plugging this in the screen itself. This is the manual of the Philips in different languages, doesn't really explain a lot. Also what it actually explains, like how you need to set it up. So we're having the dual screen configuration or adapter for inside of the car. Yeah, this is actually going to be plugging this in. You're going to be plugging in both of the displays, and the second display is more like an extra display because when you're going to be looking at the configuration, you're going to be plugging in over here. But what's interesting, they also have like a 9 all the way up to 12 volt adapter you can use in this. So, and of course an original adapter over here, and then micro USB cable. But what's going on with both displays? So they're just using the older, like say 7 inches of an LCD display. So it's compatible with DVD video, also DVX. So you know, if you're going to be, I think the old school days when you're putting the files that you basically got, like say ripped or from the internet, you can just put them on a disc and watch videos like that. And nevertheless, in here we're having the brightness set up on some other features like disc menu options and the AV mode. Over here having the on and off switch, and we can open up the DVD drive. So, but what is really interesting, and find it quite cool that we're having a disc that contains the games. So this is interesting, so I'm very glad they still have this particular disc, otherwise we're going to use the game system itself. But if this disc is getting corrupted, broken, whatever, yeah, then we're also having no games because they're not built in. The second display is actually is going to be just like a special display, just going to be plugging in the cable. It's going to be a jack cable, going to be connecting that to the other display. Volume control and everything is implemented in here. But that's it, there's nothing much going to be happening with this particular one. So you can see this thing is made in 2011 July, and that's it. You know, let's plug it in, let's connect it, and let's see what's going on. At the side we're having the input for the power supply, that's going to be a 9 volt, AV out for the second display, headphone jack, volume control, and the 2 mini USB ports for the controllers. As you can see over here, gameplay or game 2 and game number 1. So when powering on with the disk implemented of the games, we can just, it will automatically boot up into, let's say, the device and the game software itself. We're getting this crazy user license agreement, and let's see if we can actually skip this. No, we can't. Yes, no, we can. We only can pause this. So that's absolutely, yeah, this is just horrible. Like you have this freaking stuff that you actually need to watch every single time you're going to be booting up the device and the game system. There is nothing much going on when it comes to the main menu. It's just going to be having a tiny screenshot. There is no background music, nothing at all. So the games are just quite basic when it comes to that. I was hoping some really cool fancy stuff because we did notice some Tetris, we're having some racing games, Whack the Mall, we're having Naughty Oran. Like that sounds so weird. Rady Living, you know those names, Rady's Magic, Space Snake, Zero Hunt, Basketball, Bubble, and it also indicates with 1 or 2 how many people you can actually play, and of course have the indication of the second controller. But yeah, that's it. Like there was nothing much on it when it comes to the games, but let's boot up a couple of them and let's see if this is going to be any fun. Magical Adventure. Yep, this is one of the weird things that you're getting with this particular device. So let's boot it up, let's get into the game. So loading times are quite quick, but man, the input delay. Or actually, yeah, it's not the input delay, it's like the character is moving so slow. But by the way, this is like a Pokemon rip-off game. So we're going to be getting into the area of the enemy. It will boot up into some battle mode over here. Yep. and then we're going to be needing to solve puzzles. And if you're going to be finishing the puzzles, we can actually go to the next part over here. And that's actually how it is, more like a puzzle game meets Pokemon. That's it. So the game quality is not going to be something really special, but the Space Snake, in this video we're actually going to be having all kinds of help explaining how the game will work. But let's see, if it's saying Space Snake, maybe it's going to be some snake game. Oh, we do have options, speed level. Let's go to the 3 over here with some background music going on. So this looks slightly better. So let's see if this is going to be any fun. Oh, I don't need to touch that middle thing over there. Okay then. Okay, let's try that again. Need to have like the blinking lights. Okay, why was the freaking thing in the middle? But let's get into this. And this is just a snake, and you need to avoid that freaking thing. Okay, I also need to grab that one. But that's it. It's a snake that we've played a gazillion times, or even on your Nokia. So let's check out that bubble game, because I'm really curious about that, because it's more like a puzzle bubble. We can play it together with another person. But let's see what's going on. Is this magic drop clone, or need to press down? Okay, yeah, this is absolutely a magic drop clone. But yeah, when it comes to the games, they're ripping off all kinds of familiar games. But in this case, they've like given a different name. And also the overall gameplay is absolutely worse than the original one. But in the end, the system is filled up with all kinds of weird stuff when it comes to that. And I think the idea was to just have like an extra thing added to the Philips dual screen machine. And of course we can watch videos. That was one of the main features of this device. So you can just put this thing in your car, but also have like tiny games you can play together, having a dual screen configuration. And in this way we can just have hours of fun. I must say that I can personally really enjoy myself with these games. Moving on to Pong, and I must say that all of these games are based on some old classics. Didn't really see Pac-Man. Yeah, is this a Pong? Oh yeah, this is just a basic Pong, not like the volleyball games. Or wait a second, I think this can be actually an interesting thing, because this is similar to the combination of that Neo Geo game called Breakers. Windbreakers, I think it's called. Because of the background you can see like you need to get rid of both. And we have some power-ups, so that's kind of cool to be honest. So the general gameplay of this particular game is a lot of fun. So this time we're going to be doing a chit chat about this game called Frog, and I'm guessing it's going to be... Game is next level. Look at this, how fast this goes. Wait, what? I was jumping on the freaking the wood. Oh, come on, come on. Oh, that's it. Bowling. Okay, that's one of the things that we've seen many times before. So let's see if we're gonna have a strike. Oh, we need to put in the power. And there we go. So let's see. What the heck is that kind of an... No, this is not a fun way to actually play. So moving on to the game that we want to try, and that is the Tetris. They call it Puzzle Tetris. Okay, they actually call it something of a Tetris. So, but when it comes to the gameplay itself, it's just basic, you know, points, lines, you name it. There is nothing especially going on over here. We can just make the lines. I must say the overall gameplay is quite surprisingly good when it comes to the D-pad itself. So it is really enjoyable. So let's say we're going to be playing this against each other. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So when it comes to playing Tetris, is there like a speedway we can go? No, I think there is no way of fast dropping that. But I just want to quickly check out some videos to see how that actually works out and how we can navigate everything. So let's open it up. I'm guessing I need to turn it off. Then I'm going to be powering it off. Waiting for this thing to stop spinning, or can I help it? Ooh, let's be very gentle with this over here. And let's put in a disc and just do a quick overview how this part actually works. But how is it working out of the box? I must say for videos it works quite well. You just plug it in and you can just actually do this and watch this. But the main problem is actually going to be navigating, because I wish they were for a remote. That would be so much more easy. But let's see what happens. And here we can choose a different one. So yeah, even having no remote, this is going to be a very easy way to actually just navigate through the menu itself. And if you want a video, that's kind of cool. So I do wonder one thing, can we actually hook up the second screen and see how that part actually works? Okay, so let's plug in this thing. They said they checked it, but we're going to be double checking now. So let's see if we can actually boot it up. Okay, that seems to be working fine. But also let's check out the second screen. I hate it that everything is underneath over here. And indeed, we can actually use both of the screens over here. Yep, that seems to work. And the audio is quite loud. What? That is absolutely crazy. So yeah, it's kind of cool. It's like an old school So display, you can see like the viewing angle is pretty bad, but yeah, if you're going to be sitting in front of it, you actually have an option to play games together. So configuration wise, this is absolutely cool. So if you want to watch videos on the go, this is one of the old school ways to go to, because this is already a couple of years old. Watching videos, playing some games, but the games itself are really basic when it comes to that rip-off from Snake, Frogger, you name it, but only slightly different and sometimes kind of cool and challenging. However, the controls are basic but play quite nice, and it would be awesome if you had the option to add new stuff to it. So let's say they have an input for an AV or something else. So in that case, we can actually maybe use a 4K game stick, transfer the data from this device and just put it on dual screen and play games like that. However, there is no option to implement new stuff like having an input. So that is one of the biggest downside to this. Thank you all for watching. Let me know in the comments what do you think of this device. Would you consider buying it secondhand for 20 bucks or something like that? And it would be great to see you in the next video.